I had to eat a puree diet for about 9 months. And when I say pureed, I don't mean liquid, but pureed, like grinding my meat. Anyone that knows my story, I tell them I had to cook meat and then I had to puree it to like an applesauce or like yogurt consistency. So I was basically eating pate. That would give my digestion a chance to start working again. So I had to treat my stomach like a baby, like a newborn baby. If you introduce food to a baby, you're not going to give them a steak. You're not going to give them a piece of broccoli. You're going to give them pureed food. So I had to treat myself as a newborn baby. And that's kind of how I worked my way back.
Bethany, thank you so much for coming on the Clean Kitchen podcast. We're super excited to have you. And thanks for taking the time out of your day to have a conversation with us.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've known each other for a while now, and I feel like it's been a long time coming. So I'm excited to really engage with your audience and chit chat.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we met a couple of years. I guess we haven't met in person yet, have we?
Gosh, have we not? I feel like we're
so
connected on social that I feel like we met in person, but maybe we haven't.
Yeah, I think we just send a bunch of audio messages and stuff back and forth.
We do text messages, all that.
Yes. But we've made some videos together. We've done a lot together. And I know your story. I've read your book and all these other things, but please share with the audience kind of your story and what got you into this kind of field of work.
Yeah. So I feel like everyone has a story or has a reason why they started eating the way that they do, eating cleaner, living a healthier lifestyle, right? It's very rare that someone is just like from 2 years old was like, I'm just going to eat healthy food all the time, So there's typically a reason why someone makes the switch. So for me, I had a lot of gut issues. And there's multiple factors, but I'll give you like the short Reader's Digest version. Where do I even begin? Honestly, I don't even know. So my husband left me, right? I got married at 20. Very bad situation. He left me after the divorce. I started, working out. I started like trying to take care of myself a little bit more. I really got into the whole like gym movement where that's great. Like I would wake up at 4 a.m. and work out for an hour and a half every single day. I do cardio for 30 minutes, weights for an hour, like a lot. It was a lot and definitely too much, but it made me feel good. Like it was just taking my mind off of what was going on. And of course, when you're in the fitness industry, you start obviously paying more attention to what you eat. You think you're eating better by opting for like Quest protein bars and like all the crappy stuff that they push in gyms. Yes. And so I was eating all of that crappy stuff, thinking I was, doing my body good. And it took a while. And I mean, this went on for a long time and I felt good initially because I think that like with anyone, when you have so many like reserves where like your body can really fight it off. But when you just start filling your body with junk, like I would even eat, you're going to laugh at me, but I would eat like the frozen meals that like the lean cuisine and like thinking like, oh yeah, this is great. It's what, just relying on marketing basically.
Yeah.
And so then I started having a lot more gut issues, bloating, blah, blah, blah. I ended up getting so sick that I was literally a walking skeleton. And I went to a lot of doctors. I went to Cedars-Sinai. This is like the top gut specialist there. We went all over because I was burping up a really bad sulfur smell, like rotten egg smell. And it was like every few minutes. And I just could not digest food. What I was eating was coming out the other end undigested. So I was not able to absorb any nutrients. And I got so skinny. I was literally a walking skeleton and skin and bones. And people think that I'm thin now. I am nowhere to where I was. And I was like, well, what's going on? How come I can't, ended up that I had multiple factors happening, which I had SIBO. I had yeast overgrowth, candida, which is a certain type. I had gastroparesis, which is paralysis of the stomach. So my stomach muscles weren't actually contracting. So you want your stomach. So everyone's stomach contracts and it has muscles and it helps move the food down. So my stomach muscles were just paralyzed. They were not doing anything. So food was just sitting in my stomach, rotting, super smelly. And I had to do enemas. I was doing literally, I think there was one day I did like 15 enemas in a day. I mean, because it was insane. That's That was the only way to move food through my body, was to do that. And it was horrible and I hated it. I also had tons of parasites. Like everyone has parasites, I feel like. And they can normally pass them, get rid of them if you have a healthy immune system. My immune system was completely compromised. And there's this one day I did a coffee enema, and I'm just gonna like throw it all out there, right? There's no like,
do it.
sugarcoating here. But one time when I like removed the enema from me, I saw a worm come out with that. Like legit, like 12-inch worm come out. And I have a picture of it and I saved it still. And it like blew my mind. I was like, oh my goodness. Anyways, all that to say, again, trying to give you the Reader's Digest version. I had a lot of gut issues happening, and there was also a lot of other factors. Like I had breast implants at the time. Again, that was like another thing that I wanted to do after the divorce, like just knew me, like all the things. And so it was a few years after I got my implants that this was happening as well. And it didn't really occur to me until like after the fact that maybe it was yeast overgrowth, all of the gut issues. On top of that, perhaps it was breast implant. I still don't know. Since then, I've got them removed. And I may never know, but it's just something that people should be aware of. And you're probably wondering how I healed or how I got out of that mess.
Yeah, that was my next question. Where do you go from there? Yeah.
Right. So, I tried to see, because honestly, I had a doctor tell me, like a Western medicine doctor, he was like, go somewhere else. Like, I can't help you. Like, he just like gave up on me. And any other doctors, they just wanted to give me meds and give me medication to kind of like mask the symptoms. And I did try them, I think for like a day or two. And then I was living with my mom at the time. She was like, Bethany, you need to stop these medications right now because they're giving you weird side effects. Like I was half there. Like, I don't know if I was high, but she's like, your eyes were rolling back inside you, like behind your head. Like you were not taking this medication right. And it's crazy. But there was no like, oh, let's try and fix the problem. Let's just give you like a pill to kind of mask the symptoms. Like if you have like heartburn, I'm sure your doctor was just like, here, have some Tums. They don't really want to fix the heartburn issue, right? So I sought out a holistic doctor who I actually know. He's a family friend, and I saw him the other day, actually. He's visiting. So he started to teach me of like how to heal my gut. And from there, we really went back to basics, eliminated all irritants, any kind of packaged food. And I had to eat a puree diet for about 9 months. And when I say pureed, I don't mean liquid, but pureed, like grinding my meat. Anyone that knows my story, I tell them I had to cook meat and then I had to puree it to like an applesauce or like yogurt consistency. So I was basically eating pate. Anything I ate had to be pureed. So that would give my digestion a chance to start working again. So I had to treat my stomach like a baby, like a newborn baby. If you introduce food to a baby, you're not going to give them a steak. You're not going to give them a piece of broccoli. You're going to give them pureed food. So I had to treat myself as a newborn baby. And that's kind of how I worked my way back. Short version.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's an insane story when you hear it. And I know we only are just hitting on it. And that's what we're going to do today, is dive into the story and kind of the process behind healing your gut. But in those early days, when you did change up your diet, we talk a lot about how the marketing on a lot of these foods that look good for you, or they might seem like the lean cuisine, like the Quest bars, seem like they're good for you. How much of an eye opener was it to really start to understand the different ingredients in those foods that 99% of people think are good for you?
That's a great question, Kevin. So going through this whole journey really did open my eyes into what I was being deceived, right, by marketing, or even like people on commercials or whatever telling you just eat this. It's great. It's whatever, low carbs, low sugar. So I was consuming stevia. I was consuming things with gums in it. I was consuming things with natural flavors, which I thought, oh, it's no big deal. Like anything really. And the more I dove in and started doing my own research, the more I realized these are fillers. Like these gums, I don't know if I've ever shared this, but there was a point where I was making a smoothie and I was gore gum. They sell it in a package. And I was purposely putting guar gum in my smoothies as an ingredient because I thought it was good for you because there was marketing around it at the time where guar gum is so great for you and it's, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I just believed it. And it's amazing to me. I actually forgot I used to do that. So starting to do my own research, and I was so sick at one time, I couldn't even hold a job. So what am I going to do? I'm going to research. Like I'm sitting at home, might as well make use of my time. So that's where a lot of things stemmed from as well. And I just opened my eyes to what I was feeding and what so many other Americans are deceived by.
Yeah. I mean, it's similar for me too. Like I was diagnosed with Crohn's in college and, a bunch of digestive symptoms. And then once you learn about all of this, basically, like you said, your eyes are open to all this and you never look back to, the previous foods that you were eating. So when you started this basically PURÉE diet, I guess, did you see a huge improvement almost immediately? Did it take time? What kind of happened there?
I mean, it took, I would say I did like a special fruit smoothie too, because the burping was really big for me. And I was blending the fruit smoothie and that was helping me with the digestion because it had all the digestive enzymes.
Okay. Yeah.
So as far as an improvement went, it was very slow at the beginning. And the improvement started internally because my organs were so messed up. My organs were like shutting down, So when you start to heal, you're not going to see an outward improvement. Like you're not going to see weight gain on someone that they're trying to heal their gut because their gut and their organs are probably suffering. And so your body is going to take that nutrients and start to repair your vital organs versus putting on weight, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for a while, I was like, dang, I'm eating a lot. How come I'm not gaining weight? And it was because all the nutrients I was taking in was going to like repair my internal organs. And then once that got fixed, then it was like, okay, now the excess can be a weight restoration.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
It does. It takes time. It's not something that can happen overnight. We talk about the importance of gut health and the gut microbiome consistently on here and how important it is to your overall health as well. I think that's one thing that people tend to confuse is that you can't just isolate your gut health. It feeds everything else. And that's so important. So as you were going through this process, obviously you have a big focus on food, as Kyle does too, really shopping the right aisles and including foods in your diet that have value. Were you looking at other areas of your environment too? Maybe like cleaning supplies or maybe laundry detergent is a popular one people swap out. Were there other places in your environment that you were looking to make swaps?
Oh, that's another great question. So again, like I was still, I would say like a baby, just starting to get into this, right? So that didn't even occur to me. Like I wasn't thinking about toxic cleaning products. I wasn't thinking about laundry detergent or the soaps that I was using or the makeup that I was putting on or anything like that. I was focusing a lot on just food and nutrition. And as I developed and gained knowledge throughout the years, as we all do, we start peeling back the layers and we're like, oh man, this, oh, that. And really trying to improve. And I think we're all trying to do that. So at the time, it didn't even occur to me, right? And so thankfully, there's a lot more research now on that because I don't even know if there was research on it. I'm sure there was. It just, didn't pop up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't
it's
mainstream.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So you go through this journey and you start to heal, which is great. You see some improvements, maybe not on the outside yet, but certainly on the inside. Tell me how you went from going through all this insane journey to now having well over 1 million followers on Instagram. When did you start posting and what was that first experience like?
Yeah. So Instagram, I'm an OG Instagrammer. So like I've had an Instagram since inception, like where the app icon was like the Polaroid. I don't know if anyone remembers that, but yeah. So this was random, but my friend was like, hey, have you heard of Instagram? And I was like, oh no, I don't know. I mean, and so he's like, yeah, you should like download it. Like you can like, post photos and stuff. And this was like way back when like chronological still photos, you post at 12, it showed up at 12, you know,
Yeah.
it was like one of those things. And so I was like, no, like, I'll just like, get it. And so I would go on like maybe 3 times a week or whatever, and just post a random thing that I was making for myself, like food wise. And I was in my healing journey. And so the food I was posting was obviously not typical like everyone else. And so it was a little strange and a little weird, but I was making desserts without sugar. I was making banana brownies with cacao and just 2, 3 ingredients. And so it started to catch on, and people started to follow not just the recipes, but my own journey. And that's really just how it developed organically. And, kind of just putting myself out there and being different and not just posting what everyone else was posting.
Yeah. I love all of your simple ingredient recipes. Not only do they look amazing when you film them, but they actually taste good too. And I saw one of I think it was a recent video you posted, or maybe it was a little while ago. It was whipped honey, and it had like 20 something million views.
Yeah.
What were you were you expecting it to get that many when you first posted it, or?
I didn't. Typically anything I post is like, I'll work on like a recipe for like 5-6 hours, filming, editing, like all the things. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to be great. And then it's like, it totally flops.
Yeah.
And then like the randomest video that I'm like, oh, maybe I should like film this snack that I'm eating or whatever. And then just blows up. I'm like, what's, I don't even know anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
The algorithm, it does what it wants. Yeah. Oh, but okay, so related to this, since we're on the topic of Instagram, take us behind the scenes a little bit. So these videos that you film, I feel like you're known for your 2 or 3 ingredient recipes. And so many of them, they look insanely good. They look like cake. I showed my wife the other night. She was craving cake, and I showed her one of your cake recipes that had 2 ingredients. I think it had an apple in there, which was kind of crazy. How many of those do you do that you test out and they don't make it anywhere? Are there some of those that end up getting thrown in the trash?
Good question. Yeah. So, in fact, someone was asking, oh, do you test your recipes, and then if it comes out good, do you film it?
Mm-hmm.
And the question is no. So I have an idea, and I'm like, you know what? I should try this. And so I film it. Like the film is my test. And if it doesn't do well, which some of them don't, there's a lot that I don't post, but if some of them don't do well, then I'm like, oh, this tasted bad or didn't rise the way I thought it would, then I just don't post it, but I still film it, because the last thing I want to do is create a recipe and it be a banger recipe, and it's so good that I'm like, dang it, now I have to film it and recreate it again,
Yeah.
So I just go for it.
Yeah. Everyone gets filmed. I love that. Is there one that stands out to you? One that you've made that maybe it didn't perform the best on Instagram, but you consistently go back to and like, that was delicious when I made that?
Yeah, a lot of savory recipes. Interestingly enough, I don't know why, but like my followers just gravitate towards like chocolate and desserts.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of savory recipes that I'll make that I feel like are my go-tos that are on there, that are just, I think they're just delicious. I love my low carb, like it's a McDonald's remake, but it's basically just like hash browns, like low carb hash browns. They're so simple. It's like 3 ingredients. And that's another thing that I want to like just share. The reason why I stick to minimal ingredients is because it actually is better for your gut and digestion. The more ingredients, the more things you put in the pot, the more your stomach has to work to digest all those different things. If you stick to just a few ingredients that you're consuming at a time, you're going to digest it a lot better. It's going to be less laborsome for your body to break it down.
Yeah. And speaking of gut health, I know I personally get a lot of DMs and messages from people asking, where to even start to address some of their gut issues and gut problems and symptoms and all these things. First of all, do you get a lot of questions like this as well? And where do you normally recommend people start? Like, what are the initial steps? Is it starting with these purees and different things like that? If someone is kind of, just now maybe starting to experience some of these digestive symptoms, where do you recommend people start?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so individualized
Yeah.
because everyone is like on a different journey, and they could be like, super severe or just kind of, yeah, just, bloated every once in a while, right? But I think the main thing that everyone should do is remove. Because I think the first thing that comes to people's mind is, oh, I got to add something to my diet to make me feel better. Like, oh, I should probably add a probiotic, or I should add whatever, the super powder, right?
Yeah.
And I say, strip your diet, remove all of the things. And it's basically like an elimination diet, and just stick to like eating some avocado and some eggs for breakfast and see if that bothers you. And then for lunch, like try just some ground beef, and I don't even know, like don't even do condiments, and see, you know what I mean? Little things at a time, and reintroduce foods back into your diet versus adding more.
Yeah, super simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Start super simple, real whole foods. There's so many supplements and powders and all these different things out there that are like, oh, this is gonna drastically improve your gut health or all this stuff. But yeah, I definitely completely agree with that. Start super basic.
And I do think that there are some supplements out there. I mean, I have my own supplement line as well that, and I take other things that I know that actually do help me. But I know now through years of like trial and error, I know what bothers me. I know what doesn't. So if someone is like, I'm just starting out, I am in the weeds, like, what do I do? Definitely just strip your diet first and then start from there.
Yeah. Yeah. You do have one of like the cleanest protein powders that I've ever seen out there.
Have you tried it? I need to send you some.
I think, I if you didn't send it to me, then I think I bought it like years ago. I don't have it anymore because I finished it. But how did that come about? What's the story behind that?
Yeah. So during my healing process, I wasn't able to eat like when I was pureeing all my food, right? So I wasn't able to eat a lot of things. And I came across this company, and it was like one of the only protein powders I could consume at the time. And people know me for like the protein fluff. And you basically just mix water with the protein, just a little bit of water, and it makes like this pudding consistency. So I was eating that through my healing journey. And so I reached out to the company. I was like, I really, really like this protein. Like maybe I could be like an ambassador for it. And then we just developed a really good relationship. And it was a really smaller company at the time too. And then I said, they had natural flavors still in their protein. They had a sweetener. It's called thaumatin, and it's a 0-calorie sweetener. And it just did not agree with me. And like I was able to tolerate it, but I was like, you know what? Why can't I create something that actually, with no natural flavors, with no thaumatin, no stevia, no monk fruit, like nothing, and maybe put some of the probiotics that have helped me, which is Bacillus coagulans, put some L-glutamine in there, which is a gut repairing, gut lining. It helps to really heal and seal your gut. Add some of those little things and really just make it a super simple protein powder. And I said, can we do maybe like a limited edition, see if people are interested? And they were like, but there's like no sweetener. There's no natural flavors. Like, I don't think people are going to be into it. But they're like, oh, we'll do like a little test. So it just blew up basically and sold out. And that's kind of in 2018 that happened. And then now we have, 3 flavors. We have other supplements, more to come. So anyways.
So exciting. And now it's like permanent flavor, not limited edition or anything.
Yeah. It's called Bethany's Pantry now. We just rebranded. So yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. It's amazing the journey. Looking back, I think 2017, 2018 is some of the beginnings, at least that I was reading about, of your journey. So it's been 6-7 years now since then. What do you think about when you reflect back on those days back in 2017 and 2018 and look at where you are now? What would you tell yourself then as that person?
Man, that's such a great question. You guys are killing it with the questions.
Kevin's got all the good questions.
I would say if I could go back and tell myself something, I would just say continue, because I never in a million years would I have thought that my hardship would lead me to where I am today, and to actually like have that be my brand, this is like my full-time job.
Mhm.
And never did I even seek out to be like, oh, I want to be an influencer. That's what I want to do for my job. Like it just happened naturally. I never thought I would be doing what I'm doing. And this is like my career, which is crazy to think, but I would just say, for anyone suffering in the weeds right now, just keep going because you don't know, it could be a blessing in disguise for whatever reason.
Yeah, I love that. We have so many people that either reach out to Kyle or just comment on our videos and talk about how they're going through a tough time. And so I think that advice will resonate extremely well with them. Keep going. You don't know what's on the other side. You don't know when it will improve, but if you keep working, then fingers crossed, hopefully it does.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Bethany, do you have any future goals or future plans or anything for, Instagram or products or anything like that you want to share?
Yeah, well, personally, we just moved.
Uh-huh.
So that's been a fun little journey, and I've been sharing little bits on Instagram. And regarding Bethany's Pantry, we've been working on some new products for a long time, but it is taking a while just because I'm so like OCD and like nitty-gritty, wanting to do all the tests and all the things and just making sure it's right. But we do have some new products coming out with Bethany's Pantry, which I wish I could share. But once it comes out, I'll have to send you some because it's just amazing. So that's always exciting. And then just, trying to stay status quo, trying not to be so on Instagram. I know that's like kind of taboo, but like as I get older, I've realized that I need to also take care of my own self, and just like always being on social media has really stripped some, I hate to say it, but some joy from my life. And granted, it's my job, it's my work, so I'm always on there, but I'm really trying to take some time to like be out in nature a little bit more, and it's really helped.
Oh yeah, I can totally relate to that. Absolutely. You need a break sometimes from the messages and the comments and just everything. It's an overload sometimes.
Well, Kyle, this is your job too. And so you have to be on where other people, Instagram is not their job. And so they go on Instagram to like unwind and just like chill, where it's like kind of the opposite for us,
It is. It is. And even if I do like go on maybe to like, I'll take a few minutes here and like scroll through some videos, I'll I almost go into work mode, and I'm like, oh, I could do a video like this or like this or like, and I'm just like, oh, no, this is not what I want to be doing right now. I want to relax.
Or like a DM comes in, and I know.
Exactly. Yeah. You respond to one DM, and the next thing you know, you respond to 50 DMs, and it's a lot for sure.
What do you do then, Bethany? What do you do to unwind? How do you relax?
For me, I love cooking, and I don't think I can ever get away from it. So I like to cook and bake to relax, but not film it, because I think there's a huge difference in just doing it for yourself, for my husband, and not being like, oh, I got to get this angle, I got to film this, just putting my phone away and just cooking. I think that really is helpful.
Yeah.
Live in the moment. It's amazing. We just did an episode on dopamine recently and understanding ways to release dopamine in a positive way, unlike scrolling on social media. What are the ways you can do it? And I think living in the moment and doing things for yourself were some of the biggest takeaways from that episode. It's amazing how important it is.
Oh, for sure. And it's so neglected now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Just being present. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Bethany. If anyone wants to check out Bethany, we'll leave all that information below. Her Instagram, Lil Sipper, and all that good stuff. But is there anything else you want to share, Bethany? Anywhere else you want people to go, where you want to direct them to, or anything like that?
Yeah, they can find me on Instagram. I'm at Lil Sipper. It's LILSIPPER. And then I have a YouTube. You can find littlesipper.com. I'm on TikTok. People on TikTok I'm not like a TikToker. I just do it, but like people are savage on there. Oh my gosh.
Oh, they're terrible. It's so bad. Oh my
God. Like, what is this new generation? But I'm on there, but I just post. I don't really even look at comments because I don't even understand. But I'm pretty much on all the socials, and but I'm mostly active on Instagram.
Yeah. I try not to open TikTok.
I don't even we could have a whole discussion on TikTok, because it's just, I don't get the whole thing. Maybe I'm just super old, but it's just it's not my thing. I don't know.
I'm with you. I'm with you. And we'll leave a link as well down below to the protein powder as well if people want to check that out.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
as
the
well.
protein powder, Bethany's Pantry, and then I have a podcast too.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to get you on.
Absolutely. I'm excited for it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Bethany. We appreciate your time.
All right. Thanks, guys.